I used to be an event planner myself. So number one, engaging with event planners and being what I call the lowest maintenance speaker that could possibly exist. I want to make sure that the crowd is as engaged and entertained as possible. And so that edutainment approach is what I take to all of my keynotes. I want them to take things away. I want them to be able to change things right away. I want them to have some tangible actions that they can put into play, but I want them to have fun in the process. Nothing's worse than when you go to a presentation that you sound like Ferris Bueller's teacher and you're not taking anything away from it, or you forget everything the next day.
Welcome to Engage Presents. I'm Engage co-founder and president Jake Olson. In this interview series, I ask Engage talent the most common questions we hear from event planners to help you get to know them and their stories in 15 minutes or less. Thanks for listening. Welcome to another episode of Engage Presents. I am Engage president Jake Olson alongside with Rich Bracken. Rich, you are a man of many talents. I think they once called you the Renaissance man, is I think the technical definition over there. You are a media personality. You're obviously a motivational speaker. That's why we're here. A performer, former event planner. You also are a DJ. And so, I wanted to ask you, because obviously this introduction is not as typical as a DJ introduction. So what is your DJ name?
So my DJ, well, first of all, Renaissance is a very fancy word for me. So let's squash that rumor right now. I'm somebody who likes having fun and have a lot of random talents that I just happen to be good at. But the DJ name was not very creative. It was DJ Rich B at the time. Now I'm just going by my name. I just never liked the really overly weird names, because if you saw somebody at the grocery store that you knew as like DJ Flip, like you can't call them, you don't know their real name, so it was just awkward in the produce aisle. So I wanted to make sure I had something relatable but that people would know me by.
Okay, so it's a drop like DJ Rick. Is that like kind of like
Right.
how it sounds?
So I actually, it's funny, I actually have a DJ drop that I had done through, I think it was Fiverr. And it's a British woman, because that accent to me, I lived in England for a little bit. So that accent just makes me feel like home. And so it's the series of mix shows that I would do was called Sugar. So it was like the Sugar House. So she would say, "Welcome to Sugar with DJ Rich B." And I was like, loved it. And so now my sons hear it and they mock it all the time. So what coolness I had as the quote unquote Renaissance man is gone, because my 11 and 8-year-old just squashed it.
Well, I'll tell you what, maybe we can try to get that and we'll put it in the beginning of this episode and bring it back. We'll run it back for you.
I'll send it over to you. And if I could find the video of my son lip syncing it, I'll send that too.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. And well, I was definitely, really interested to hear you, give a little bit about what you speak about. You bring emotional intelligence, empathy, mental awareness kind of to a professional setting. And so I kind of just wanted to throw it to you and just ask from a standpoint of those qualities, why are those qualities so important in life, but also in a professional setting?
Yeah, I think, and great question. I think emotional intelligence to me is the most impactful and the most important thing anybody can invest in, both personally and professionally. And I think, especially since, pre-pandemic, we weren't really talking about all that much. It was a little bit of a buzzword, but then post-pandemic, and now that people are trying to figure out the remote hybrid work scenario, what leadership looks like, what the new company dynamic looks like, emotional intelligence has become more of a dominant conversation than ever before. Yeah. And it's because it is universally applicable. It's because it helps organizations and people become better at what they do. But there's data and statistics galore on how it helps companies and helps their productivity, but also helps individuals with their own day-to-day activities, their own personal happiness. But the nice thing is that you can actually enhance your emotional intelligence no matter where you stand on the scale from 1 to 100. So if you're at a 30, don't lose hope. Like, you can increase it by just doing some really easy, fun things every single day. And that's what I love sharing with the audience, is that it's really up to them. They have that control personally and professionally to be successful through emotional intelligence.
So you're almost saying that emotional intelligence acts as a skill, as something that you can, practice at, be better at.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think the term that drives me crazy is when people call it a soft skill. I call it a critical skill, because, if you think about it, emotional intelligence is accountable for 60% of your behavior and your success. So if you have 60% emotional intelligence and 40% intellect and skill and knowledge, you could be somebody that's very smart at what they do. You can be somebody that's very tactically intelligent. But if you don't have control of your emotions, if you don't know how to socially engage people, if you're not a good communicator, a good empathetic, active listener, you're going to limit your success. You're going to limit the ability to perform, to escalate your own career, and to increase the performance and the success of your company. So I'll have that conversation all day long. Give me somebody that thinks that tactical skill is better than emotional intelligence. I'll battle that all day long.
Awesome. Well, I was going to say something. No, I'm kidding. But I, given all you've done, your skills, the jobs you've worked, and we can go through them all, but we'll keep this short. But how have all those experiences kind of impacted the energy, the discipline you've now brought to being able to give a presentation to a crowd?
Yeah, so I think the one big piece that I share with clients and when I engage in different conversations pre-event is that I used to be an event planner myself. So number one, engaging with event planners and being what I call the lowest maintenance speaker that could possibly exist.
Okay.
I want to make sure that I'm not only making their job easier, that I'm taking things off of their mind and their plate, but also when it's appropriate and when they want it, I give different pieces of input, different ideas, ways that we can enhance the experience. But then also as an MC and as a keynote speaker, I want to make sure that the crowd is as engaged and entertained as possible. And so that edutainment approach is what I take to all of my keynotes. I want them to take things away. I want them to be able to change things right away. I want them to have some tangible actions that they can put into play, but I want them to have fun in the process. Nothing's worse than when you go to a presentation that you sound like Ferris Bueller's teacher and you're not taking anything away from it, or you forget everything the next day. So I want to make sure that they have fun during, and then post-event, I send things like playlists that we build, different content pieces, just to make sure that that information sticks and is embedded in the organization moving forward.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So Rich Bracken, the entertainer of sorts, definitely.
Yes.
Still
Much better than
exists.
Renaissance Man. I'll take entertainer over Renaissance Man any day of the week.
Awesome, man. So, Rich, on the topic of emotional intelligence, you speak to a lot of sales teams. So how do those two things relate?
Yeah, so sales has a lot to do with both emotional intelligence and another topic I talk about, which is executive presence, because sales teams are very emotionally charged. And when it comes to client service, client engagement, active listening, all of those things come back to the need of emotional intelligence in the sales process and also the client service process post-sale. Both with executive presence too, because when sales teams go in to talk with the buyer in an organization or a team of people and they're presenting to that team of people to convince them to buy, they've got to have that gravitas. They've got to have that confidence and be able to convey the value of working with their organization or buying their product and service. So it's really important that they have both the balance of their emotional intelligence and they're managing their emotions through the sales process, because I was a salesperson in a former life too, to add it to the resume list that we have. And so I understand the impact of that. But also, if you get to the point where you're in front of that team or you're in front of that client or you're in front of the board or the executives, you've got to have that executive presence. And even there's a client that we work on together that just booked 3 keynotes with us, through their teams on both emotional intelligence and executive presence, because they want to enhance both of those skills. So to have one client book 3 keynotes based on those 2 critical factors is eye-opening, but that's incredibly valuable to them to figure out how their teams can become more balanced, but also have more confidence when they're having those conversations.
Tell me about your weight loss journey, because I hear it's an incredible journey you were on, and then kind of tell me on the tail end of that, the lessons, the impact that someone can take from that, if they're on their own weight loss journey or just, albeit just a personal goal they're trying to accomplish.
Yeah, so I was a heavier kid growing up and then became a football player and just kept getting bigger because that was my job to be big. And I wound up being a 260-pound inside linebacker. And so once I got done with football, I didn't need that weight. I didn't need that size, but I didn't know what to do, how to lose it. And so I started the journey. It took me about a year and a half, and I lost 100 pounds total and have kept it off now for 25 years. And I think the major lesson major lessons that I learned from that is that, one, if you take your time and set small goals on the way to big goals, you're going to succeed a lot easier and it's going to stick. When you create a lifestyle, not a rapid change, that makes it become more sticky with your future goals. And it's also the idea of giving yourself grace. Like, I'm not going to say that, I started this weight loss journey and I ate healthy every single day. That would be a bold-faced lie. Sure. So if you give yourself grace, that if you're trying to improve on something, if you're trying to pursue a weight loss goal or a professional goal or a financial goal, understand that you're going to make mistakes. And then when you do, you can just get back on the right track and keep going, but give yourself grace to know that you're human and you're going to make that mistake along the way, because it's a long journey.
No, well, congratulations on that. I know I've known other individuals who've done, similar journeys and the discipline it takes. You talk about making a lifestyle, man. That's really cool, and a lot of mental toughness and strength goes into that. So kudos to you.
I appreciate that.
And then finally, given what you talk about, I'm sure people come up to you and share a lot of personal stories with you, and I speak as well, and it just kind of comes with the territory. But tell me about some of the favorite speeches or a favorite speech you've given that you felt that has made a lasting impact, or maybe someone you've met at the end of it. Do you kind of have any testimonials or anecdotes to kind of help us see what people see when they hear you?
Yeah, I think the consistent thing that I keep getting from clients is that people they feel empowered, they feel that they have a say so in what's going on, and they feel that they're more aware of what's going on and how they can take more control over their life. But the one that happened recently to me, I do an emotional intelligence presentation where I mix in the DJing. It's called Soundtrack for Success, and I just gave that to a group of 1,300 business women here in Kansas City. And so it's fun. Like I'm DJing on stage, I'm playing music, people are dancing, we had glow sticks, like it was a party with a keynote. And so it was a lot of fun, and it was just a really dynamic event, and it's a dynamic presentation. And at the end of that presentation, this woman came running up to the front of the stage, and I'm still standing on the stage, and she came up and she said, "Can I talk to you for a second?" I said, "Of course." And so we were talking, and she said, I haven't been able to cry in a year and a half based on some personal trauma and some personal things that have gone on in my life. And she said, "You have such a relatable, impactful, I feel like you were talking to just me, but I also felt like you genuinely cared about the audience, me included." And she said, "I bawled in my seat." And I, of course, I'm sitting there going, "I'm sorry that I made you cry." But for her, it was therapeutic. And I gave her that permission to feel. I gave her that permission to have control over her emotions, and it set her free. And so that to me is again, like I felt bad that I made her cry, but in the end, that's what she needed in that moment. And so I think that to me is the most impactful thing, when you can truly care about your audience, when you can truly engage them and meet them where they are, no matter if it's 10 people or 10,000. Being able to care and genuinely connect with your audience makes all the difference in the world. And so that to me was the most impactful testimonial, because I moved somebody to a point where they had a breakthrough right there in the seat in that auditorium.
No, it's amazing, and it comes across. It does come across, Rich. You care about what you do here. You are passionate about it. You have a heart to kind of help people in this way. So we applaud you for that. We are honored that you're on our platform and that we can help you give that truth out and help those individuals like you were just talking about. So thank you for letting us do that for you. Quickly, how can people, other than going to letsengage.com and clicking on your profile, but in social, LinkedIn, how can people get in touch with you?
So they can find everything at richbracken.com. I'm active on Instagram and LinkedIn all the time. So I've got tons of content there. I've got a YouTube channel. I've even got to the DJ side of things. I've got a Mixcloud that I've got dance mixes on. So
there we go.
If you want to be more emotionally intelligent and also have a dance party in your office, I got you covered. So go to richbracken.com.
You knew what my next question was going to be.
But I'm also a mind reader. You didn't add that to the list either.
Yeah, shoot, man. All right, we better get off this call quickly. But I appreciate you, Rich, for hopping on today. Again, if you want to check out Rich, go to one of those platforms he mentioned. Also, letsengage.com. Rich Bracken, we appreciate you, DJ Rich B. You are out, man.
Thanks, Jed. Good to see you, man.